to Newcastle Fans TV here with a live fan reaction show after Manchester City have just beaten Newcastle by 5-0. That was a very long 93 minutes, it has to be said. I'm here with Sam Mulner. Sam, that was tough to watch, wasn't it? Oh, I don't think Sam can hear. Oh, can you hear me, Sam? Maybe you can hear me. I'll continue anyway while Sam sorts himself out. Yeah, it was a tough evening for Newcastle. Started on the back foot from the first minute. Let's be brutally honest, and we went 4-4-2 very early on. And Joelinton, Shelby up top. It was a bit of a strange look to start with, but Newcastle grew into the game a tiny bit, but then Manchester City scored, and that's how it kind of materialized straight after that. Manchester City was so dominant and so confident on the ball, and it was just tough to watch, as you can just see me on my screen. I'll move over. No, in all seriousness, it was a tough afternoon for Newcastle. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus getting the first goal for Newcastle. If only we had Gabriel Jesus up front for Newcastle. Gabriel Jesus up front for Manchester City. Poor marking from Fernandes, in my point of view. Should have done a lot better. Left him unmarked in space, but Lazaro didn't follow David Silva's run, and it was a simple goal for the Manchester City forward. And Newcastle always on the back foot, it has to be said, and yeah, it was tough for Newcastle. Lazaro at fault for the second goal, gives the ball away, and Manchester City just keep on going forward, and it was tough to watch in Newcastle, really difficult. And
here we are, saved the day.
You saved the day. Oh my God! Thank you very much, Lee Lawler.
Sam's countryside internet is not playing ball at the minute. So, Johnny, I'll let you present, and I'll bring people in when you want.
That is absolutely fine, Lee. Let's get in the show. Actually, I've just been talking about the first 2 goals for Man City. Lazaro giving the ball away for the second goal, which allowed City to come in. It was just a long afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, the FA Cup game, I was more angry at Bruce, what he set up with. But I think today, with a lot of the first team players missing, that didn't help. But we were so lethargic, and we let Manchester City press was so hard. We couldn't get up the pitch. And when we did have the ball, we played a long ball, and then it was coming back. That's all it was. And there were several players who had a chance to not necessarily impress because it's Manchester City, but maybe stake a claim a little bit more. But by God, they let themselves down. And you can probably see our Fringe players are not quite ready yet.
I think if you listened on BT today, obviously I'll let Lee discuss what happened beforehand on BT, behind the scenes in terms of Newcastle Fans TV, and then we'll bring some people on. But Lee, it was just really deflating, wasn't it? Really deflating. And you talk about the Fringe players getting a chance. Yes, it's Manchester City, but didn't cover themselves in glory at all today.
It's hard to look at them and think, yeah, you played well today. When you look at all the names on the list, and you think, we were talking on our messenger before, and we were probably saying Fabian Schär is probably the best of a really bad bunch. Maybe Danny Rose done all right, I thought. But you're probably talking, it'll be interesting what the lads score, the ratings later on. But you're probably talking 4s, 5s at best. Because I know the quality is totally different, Johnny, I know that. They've got abundance of talent, and we'd love to be up there one day. But it just simply wasn't good enough. You don't come away from that game feeling proud to be a Geordie after that.
No, you don't. It was tough. It was very difficult. But Lee, we'll bring somebody in very shortly. What did you do with BT beforehand?
It was me, Rob, Sam, and Owen were part of BT's fan wall. It's a shame that we didn't score because we weren't really seeing much, to be honest with you. It was more pre-hand. I think if Newcastle had scored a goal, you might have seen an odd celebration. We've got a nice clip, which we'll put on the last word later on. But yeah, we've done that with BT, and I think we'll be doing something a little bit later on with them as well.
Ooh, you have to keep in mind with that, eh? We'll have to watch that on the last word. Right, Lee, I'm going to let you choose anybody you want, and we'll get them to come in and join the show. This is your show just as much as our show. If you want to come on and say what you want to say, then more than welcome to do so.
This is Callum.
Callum, how are you? What did you think of today's game?
I'm right, thanks. I'm quite disappointed, really very angry. Although I haven't seen the game really, on the TV, and there's radio, unfortunately. Again, because
Yeah.
you know the last 3. It's the last 4 games we've got. I forgot.
We've got 4 games after. Obviously, we've just played Manchester City. We have got 4 games left. We've got Watford on Saturday, which is on Amazon, which is one of our main sponsors. So make sure you download Amazon. But yeah, Callum, it was difficult, wasn't it? Newcastle never really got into it. I know you listened to it on the radio, but it was very, very sloppy defending.
Yeah, it's very poor. I thought I know we got defeated in the FA Cup, and that's a more poor game. I thought, that is a bloody rubbish game. I thought I felt sorry for Newcastle fans, us really, because we try our best. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's all we asked for, really. And obviously, everyone's going to have the similar opinions. Keep your comments going, by the way. If you want to get your comments in, we'll try and read as many out as possible. But Callum, how many points do you think Newcastle can get from now to the end of the season? Do you think we can get to say 50 points, which is 7 points from now in the last 4 games?
Probably 7 points, because it's very risky. I know the last game we've got Liverpool. Probably that would be harder still, but we still save it. That's the main thing we're pleased of.
Yeah, for sure. Liverpool's going to be a very difficult game. BT Sport getting some comments from Jack. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Bentleb didn't have the best games either. Callum, he was very bad. We'll talk about that very, very shortly. Callum, last question before we'll move on to the next one, because we've got loads of people that want to get involved tonight. How do you think Steve Bruce has done this season?
Well, the first half, I think he's not doing well. And this time he's getting better, and now it still gets struggling really. For me, my opinion, I still don't understand Steve Bruce at all, really, because he's more like a championship manager, really. Now, he didn't. I know he bring us to the quarterfinal. That's brilliant for a long time, and now again, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, but he's done a good job under very tough circumstances, it has to be said. Well, Callum, thank you very much for coming on. You're the first person that's been on, so thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you at the game against Watford on Saturday after the match. Lee, have we got anybody else waiting?
Yeah, yes, Jake.
Hi, Jake, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, very, very good. Well, that was a tough afternoon, wasn't it? Nabil Bentleb's getting a lot of criticism in our comments. Do you think he was as bad as what people made out, Jake?
Yeah, we should terminate his contract now.
Terminate his contract? Why do you think that is?
He doesn't pass forward, turn back. He's like just always passing to the keeper all the time.
There was a lot of backwards passing, wasn't there? And I think Bentleb wasn't alone with that. But I think the 5th goal was tough to take with him just passing it, losing the ball in midfield rather, and then Sterling scoring from a silver assist. It was very poor defending all round, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Everyone rose for the first goal. He saw the ball and then just left Jesus in the box within the 6-yard box by himself, and then it was free.
Do you think we've got to forget about this game quickly, Jay? Because this is a game that nobody really expected Newcastle to get anything from at all. Liverpool played Manchester City last week and got beat 4-0 as well. So it just shows that Newcastle.
Is that your famous anyway?
Is that my famous brother? Yeah, he's watching Liverpool versus Brighton. I don't know if it's kicked off yet, but if you hear in the background, is it 1-0? Oh, it's 1-0 Liverpool. There you go. They're not bad, are they? The champions anyway. But yeah, in all seriousness, Jake, should we just forget about this game and move on with the last 4 games that we've got?
Yeah, we've got to move on because we've got Watford next and they're struggling, so we've got to get a result. And then Brighton and Tottenham aren't even doing that well at the moment.
There's still 3 winnable games there, isn't there?
Yeah, and we could even get a result against Liverpool because they'll try to rest players probably.
Yeah, Liverpool aren't that good, are they? No. That's me brothers looking at me. No, who was your man of the match, Jake? Actually, that's my final question. Do you think anybody at Newcastle stood out a little bit?
Joelinton didn't have nothing to. He had nothing to do. He didn't even touch the ball. I don't think. Probably Rose, even though he was at 1 goal, he picked himself up and did well.
Yeah. Would you keep Danny Rose from after this season?
Danny Rose, yeah. We haven't got a proper left back other than him and Dummett if he can play there normally.
Yeah, I think we might have to keep a hold of Danny Rose. I think especially if Jetro Willems doesn't come back, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But Jake, thank you very much for coming on. We'll hopefully see you after the game against Watford on Saturday.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
Jake. Let's try and bring him back in.
Who, Mr. Sam Milner?
Is he with us?
No.
No, he's not. Honestly, Sam, sort your broadband out. You're worse than Johnny, man. Honestly.
Come on.
Let's Adam, if you can put your if you're watching, if you can put your screen on, we'll bring it in. Also, we're bringing one of the old regulars, Mr. James Fernie.
James, welcome to the show. It was very, very difficult to watch for Newcastle fans galore. But how did you assess the match today?
Yeah, very deflating, to be honest. Not really that happy, to be honest.
Why are you not happy?
Well, I'll be on first things first. Obviously, we got beat by these less than 2 weeks ago, 2-0, with the tactics of playing 5 at the back. And what I can't understand is, why do you go with the same tactics that you got beat by, less than 2 weeks ago? I just don't understand that at all. Like,
do you think he slightly changed it, James? Because I thought he played 4-4-2 for the first 10 minutes. It looked like he had Shaw just slightly behind, but it was Shaw and Bentaleb in centre midfield. Do you not think there was a slight difference there?
Yeah, slight difference, but still playing far too defensive, in my opinion. We should be going at these teams. We should have kept the same formation, 4-2-3-1, rested saint-maximin and Almiron. I didn't have a problem with that. But, play Lazaro and that. Give Muto a chance and, go for it. Like, I don't see why we can't have a go, because we didn't have a go and we got beat 5-0 anyway, so might as well just have had a go and still got beat by the same scoreline. I just can't understand that.
Yeah, Edison didn't have a shot to save it. I think he had a header, maybe. That was all that Newcastle really...
Fernandez, who put a ball in the first half or something like that.
Yeah, it was really, really poor.
There's a couple of players I want to dig out in particular. Nabil Bentaleb and especially Fabian Shaw. Now, for me, Fabian Shaw's an absolute disgrace to the badge.
Why?
Not bad, James.
We thought he was one of the better players for Newcastle today. Why do you think? Why do you think it was that bad?
I just thought he gave the ball away so much. I think he was completely disorganised and he's far too reckless, in my opinion. I have never rated him, to be honest with you. Like, I even heard some Newcastle fans saying he's in the top 5 best centre-backs in the Premier League about 5 months ago. I couldn't believe the amount of absolute nonsense that was coming out of their mouths. I don't even think he's in the top 30 centre-backs in the league.
No,
and he's not even in our top 3 best centre-backs either.
Well, big statement. What about Nabil Bentaleb then?
Well, I mean, we've seen him for the last City goal. What was he doing? And also, what annoyed me the most is, even more than that mistake at the end, we're 4-0 down against Man City, and I can't remember which one of the centre-backs it was, popped it into him, and he popped it straight back to them. Like, what you doing? Turn with the ball, move forward, and play it into Gale or something like that. Like, what you doing? Are we trying to defend a 4-0 defeat or something like that? And as for Bruce as well, I've been singing his praises for the last few weeks, and I was wondering whether we should give him a chance under this new ownership. But after tonight, no way.
But James, you've got to remember, we played Manchester City, who are one of the best teams in the world. Not the best teams not even like one of the best teams in England. They're one of the best teams in the world. Surely with the fact that we had so many injuries, like likes of ASM wasn't involved, Jamal Lascelles wasn't involved, Almiron was probably injured and probably wasn't going to be risked anyway. Do you have to put a little bit of context to the whole thing for Steve Bruce, because he can only put players out there who are fit?
Yeah, you say that, but like the thing that annoyed me the most is, I get what you're saying, Man City are a world-class team, but there was no effort there. There was no intensity. There was no desire to go for it. That's what annoyed me the most. No passion, and that's just what I'm saying. Like, if we actually were like running around, going after it, and that, it would be fine. But it's just not good enough, and we need to improve on Saturday, because it's just not acceptable.
Yeah, it's a big game on Saturday. This will be my last question for you, James. What do you think the score will be on Saturday? Because that's a big game now for Newcastle, considering they've just been beat 5-0.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've got to step up 100% big time. Hopefully with Almiron and saint-maximin coming back, we'll be better.
Will we win?
probably, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we do bounce back straight away. It's just what's annoyed me tonight is just the lack of passion in that, and not going for it in the tactics and that. That's the thing that's annoyed me in certain individual performances that have been shocking. But you never know. I'm hopeful we should pick it back up on Saturday, and I have this feeling that they'll probably turn it around. Hopefully Bruce will give them a kick up the backside, and hopefully we'll get the job done.
Hopefully. Well, thank you very much, James. Some very interesting points, shall we say, especially about Bentleb and Shaw. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Lee, I think that was very interesting about Bentleb.
Oh my God. Do you copy? It'll get there. It'll get there. There we go. It got there. There's only about 10 seconds delay. It must be this brummy thing.
It's in that mansion he lives there, Lee, isn't it?
Do you know what I've had to do? I've had to come up to my bedroom just so I can get signal on my phone so I can hook this up to my 4G. That's how bad it is here.
Well,
would you like me, Sam, to drop out and you control, or would you want me to hang about?
No, because there's going to be a freaking delay for about 10 seconds, and then we won't get the show finished till a week on Thursday.
Right, I think me and Johnny will agree. We'll kick you out. Then if you've got internet connections, I'll hang on, and we'll bring on Stephen, who's going to be next.
This is lovely, Lee. This is lovely. Like, for weeks and weeks.
This is why it's live.
For weeks and weeks, we've been having internet connections, and it's just absolutely terrible for me. Or every week getting the bunt of the joke, and now somebody else has got it. I can have it off for a week. Welcome, Stephen. 5-0 to Man City. We've touched about maybe the fact that the goals were poor, but did anybody stand out for you really at all?
Honestly, not really, to be honest. To what James was saying about Shaw being one of our worst centre-backs, in my opinion, last season, I don't think we would have done as good as what we was without Shaw. Gordon Burns, that absolute scream from 30 yards out. He was really good centre-back. But Benton, I don't rate him whatsoever. He didn't do much at Tottenham when he was there. Pochettino got rid of him because of his attitude problems, and his last club did the same. Well, Danny Rose, in my opinion, did actually quite well. So I would say outstanding performance was Danny Rose. What
did you make of Emil Kraft, Stephen? Because he obviously came back into the team what seems like I think it was about 3 games ago, and he's played in a couple of different positions at right back and at centre half that we've seen him today. Do you think he's better as a centre half in Newcastle? Do you think he's better at right back? And I know who he was playing against today, and it doesn't look great as a 5-0 win. But do you think he looks better in any particular position?
Probably he is a better right back, but you can't really go off his performance today at centre back. You just look at what the ability what City have got up front, and any defenders this season have looked really bad against City. And they've not even got the best showing. They've not got Aguero. Raheem Sterling weren't playing, so you can't really fault him. But I would say the best position would be right back.
Right back. Do you think he's better than what we've got in terms of Yedlin and Manquillo?
No, Manquillo, first choice right back. Yedlin, I would say, he's more like a wing back, or probably try push him up a bit further, like as your winger, but not first choice.
Yeah, I think he is one of those players that you might have to give a bit more time to. Maybe next season might be more of an opportunity for him as well. But Stephen, let's talk about the third goal in particular. Matt Ritchie hits it off Fernandes and it goes in the back of the net. I thought it was soppy with Jesus basically dancing through our defence to get into a position where he should have really shot, to be honest. I think Matt Ritchie didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to have his clearance get in front of him and score as Lee's cap tries to get into the fan reaction show.
It's been there everywhere, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
It's just been on the telly and everything today. You've been a bit excited, haven't you?
I know. Stephen, it was a very unfortunate third goal for Man City, in our point of view.
Yeah, it was unlucky. I do feel sorry for Ritchie because he's been same with Fernandes. Fernandes has been one of our outstanding defenders over the past couple of years. But it's just one of them when you one-on-one against Jesus with the feet work that he has, you can't really do much. Would you prefer giving away a penalty in that position like maybe Dubravka saves it, but I don't know. It's just one of them situations. It's in other games it might not have gone off, but
Yeah,
it was just
definitely.
there to see.
Can Newcastle recover against Watford on the weekend? Do you think they can get anything, even a draw, just to kind of lift moves a little bit?
Oh, I hope so. It's my birthday Saturday, so I
Yeah.
hope we can win.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Do you think they can do it? Have you got a prediction for us?
Oof. Watford won yesterday as well, didn't they? 2-1.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on if we can get Saint-Maximin back, and I want to say 2-1, 2-1 or 2-0.
Very good. We'll take that, Stephen. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, we'll
Thanks
see
for
you on your
having me.
birthday if you're not too busy, not having a few cans anyway. But a happy birthday for
Well, I've
everybody,
got
Newcastle
that
fans.
wish.
Anyway.
Hopefully, I'll be a 52 in. So.
Oh, there we go. That's what I like to hear. Be a 52. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks very much,
Happy
mate. Enjoy.
birthday for Saturday.
Yeah, thank you.
Lee, before we bring somebody else on, I just want to ask you a quick question. Obviously, everyone's talking about Nabil Bentaleb. Everyone's talking about, everyone having a bad game. Do you think Newcastle need to kind of understand that this is our first defeat in the Premier League since lockdown? It was against Manchester City. Do we need to kind of relax a little bit? Because, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I think it is. Like when I done the video against Manchester City, I was furious about Bruce's tactics. I thought that first half in the FA Cup, he kind of like threw the FA Cup away. Whereas tonight, I can understand there's a lot of people, some big names like saint-maximin, Almiron wasn't risked. Jamal Lascelles, whatever you think of him as a defender, he's a leader, he's an organiser. We missed that of the day. Do whatever you think of his abilities. So those three players, your spine effectively going from centre back, and then your two attacking. Even Isaac Hayden, I'll put in there. So there's four players that would regularly start for you, and that would hurt us. Wouldn't necessarily hurt Manchester City though, Johnny, but I think people do need to look at it and think, it's a 5-0 batter in the heart and desire wasn't there by a lot of the fringe players let themselves down to try and stake a claim for the rest of the season. However, I think they've threw their chance away a little bit. I think when Watford comes, I think if they fit, they play. I think the fringe players go back to the bench, unfortunately.
Yeah, I completely agree. Lee, have we got anybody ready for the next one?
We've got a couple. We've got Lawrence and we'll have Adam as well. Remember, if you want to join the show, please have a look at the link in the description. I'll just change the format back to 3 and we'll bring in Lawrence.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Lawrence. How are you?
Bit annoyed after that game.
Yeah. Well, Lee was just talking about the fringe players, and I think obviously you look at the players that haven't really played a lot, and the likes of Shaw, Yedlin didn't really impress. And for me, Yedlin didn't impress. I thought Shaw was probably the best of a bad bunch. Going forward, Lazaro didn't really do great, in my opinion. Do you think that some of these fringe players, just Bentaleb as well, obviously wasn't very good today. Do you think these fringe players need to be given the kick out the door, really?
I think with Yedlin, I noticed on Twitter some American sources, I think it was at CBS Sports, saying that he'd probably want out. That's probably right after that display. For me, I would have started Emil Kraft at right back. He's been pretty decent last couple of games. Would have had Share at centre back actually with Fernandez. Although I'd actually say we'd miss Lascelles and Hayden this game. But then you've got to think, is it down to man management of players? Because we're going on about bare bones, but I've said all season, we can only have so many in the squad. And I know it's not really helped that the Premier League didn't let us put Paul Dummett back in for these games. But I think, players that came in, Yedlin, Bentaleb, really let down. I think players like Lazaro, Joelinton didn't really have much of a chance to do anything because of the way we're set up.
Do you think what should have Bruce done differently, Lawrence? Because Newcastle fans before the Man City game, myself included, say maybe don't go 5 at the back, and he did, and then he goes into this game with the players that he's got, and he didn't go 5 at the back. He went 4 at the back. He went for what Newcastle fans would have liked in the FA Cup. What would you have wanted to see him do for today's game?
I'm glad he didn't. I think this is maybe a case of trial and error, and it's kind of a case of we've learned that 4-1-4-1 is not going to work. I don't know whether we go whether we try 4-2-3-1 or 5-4-1 against Man City next season, who knows? But I do feel we'll miss Almiron, we'll miss saint-maximin as well. But I think the lads we had out there still need to do, still should be doing better than that. I think Fernandes for me had his worst game of the season.
He was really poor. But out of the players that you talked about that weren't involved tonight, likes of Hayden, likes of ASM, the likes of Almiron, who was on the bench, but you knew he was never going to play. He was never fit. Who did we miss the most? Because I'm going to put it out there. I thought we missed Isaac Hayden the most. I know ASM has been brilliant in terms of the last few games, but Hayden has been rock solid and been so consistent for Newcastle in the last 12 to 18 months. I think we really missed him in the middle of our midfield at times.
In terms of leadership, you'd probably say Hayden and Lascelles. I'd say Hayden more, just because Lascelles on Saturday just wasn't very. Sorry, on Sunday wasn't very good anyway. I mean, he was right to obviously leave Lascelles out.
He was injured tonight.
Yeah, but we need a bit. Maybe we're looking towards Shelby for leadership. He wasn't the worst player on the pitch, but it wasn't really there from him.
Yeah. Do you think Newcastle can recover? I've been asking a lot of people about this Watford game, but do you think Newcastle can get, say, 7 points from the last 4 games, or has that been a bit too optimistic?
I think you've been optimistic. I mean, especially with Spurs and Liverpool. I mean, I think it will be easier, both those games at St James's Park than at the Etihad. We knew it was going to be... but I think I'm kind of glad that we've only got to wait a few more days to play Watford away. Winnable game, but knowing our luck, after they've lost to a couple of teams around, they'll go and beat us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, typical Newcastle, isn't it, Lawrence? Well, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll hopefully see you after the game against Watford on Saturday.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks, Lawrence.
And did you say the next person was Adam?
Adam, here he is.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, gents. Evening.
Very, very good. Just before we speak, Adam, just to let you know, if you want to be involved in the Fan Reaction Show, we've still got about 30 to 35 minutes left of today's show. This link will be in the YouTube comments or on Facebook if you want to join in as well. Lee will be making sure that you try and get a chance. We'll try and keep it to maybe a few minutes on every person. Adam, difficult afternoon. We can talk about City's class and how they were brilliant all the way through the game. I thought David Silva was immense for them. Kevin De Bruyne had his moments, but Newcastle just didn't turn up. And it's again disappointing because you look at the FA Cup game, they just didn't believe in themselves. I think it's exactly the same tonight. They just didn't believe that they could go toe to toe against a very, very good team.
Yeah, to me, they look like they were in holiday mode. There's nothing to play for to the end of the season. Yeah, they're safe, mathematically safe. There's no real push on Europe, is there? Not really. Realistically, after the West Ham game, dropping obviously the 2 points potentially. I'm looking at those last remaining fixtures. Watford and Brighton away, and then Tottenham and Liverpool at home. I'm seeing 2 points. I'll be honest. I'm seeing 2 points, and that's just because they'll want to make sure they get a point at Watford and Brighton. Tottenham and Liverpool have still got Liverpool a little bit of pride, and they've got a points thing, and they'll want to go out on a high, being at home the last game of the season. And I think the biggest frustration for me is I don't understand what Bruce is trying to achieve with these last few games. Like, you've essentially got 3 right backs on the pitch today. You've got lads on the bench like Tom Allen who, let's face it, we knew we weren't going to win today. But what did we learn? We didn't learn anything. We learned we couldn't beat Man City, but we already knew that because that's what they set out to do. I think, like Paul said before, previously in the last stream, like, I want to see something different from them. I want to see them bring in, a couple of youngsters. They brought him on the bench. Why have Almiron on the bench if he's not going to feature? Like, put one of the young lads in there. And obviously, like with Matty Longstaff, it's a bit concerning to see. His big thing is, I want game time. How is this not the best game to put him in from the start? To try and convince him to stay, that he will get game time when, instead bringing him on when the game's lost. How's that going to? What's he going to think?
Sorry, Adam, would you start in every game from now to the end of the season just to say to him and his representatives, look, we want you to be involved in the long-term future of this football club?
They've said they want to build it around him in the future, and there's obviously all these bits and pieces. So start him every game. There's no point starting Ben Taleb because he's on loan. It's probably costing us more to start him anyway. He clearly doesn't want to be there now anyway. When you look at it, so send him back wherever he's come from. Let him be over there. I think it's really funny the amount of centre halves we've got, and obviously the injuries we've got. Yeah, we were playing a makeshift. Playing Craft as almost that sort of in a makeshift centre back role, and I just thought to myself, why not just play the 4 at the back, play the 2, play Shah and Fernandez, across the back there, and that might have given Fernandez a bit more stability with the fact that it was a partner that he's worked with before rather than a makeshift partner in Craft, because obviously Shah did push forward into sort of that halfback role, didn't he, as they call it, like in between the midfield and defence, but not quite. And I just free that then makeshift position that Craft's filling, up to actually play someone else that you want to see more of. So if you want to see Tom Allen up front, get him up front. And do you know what? Putting 2 up top and giving Joelinton a bit of freedom might have actually helped Joelinton this game. But again, I don't understand the process in playing Joelinton up top when you've then got you've been playing him on the wing the last few games. Like I don't think he's a striker. I don't think bottom line. I don't think he's a striker. I think he needs to sit in the hole in between. But at the moment, he just gets pushed and fouled. And even Shelvey, I think earlier, was raising arms at the referee when there were players on Joelinton's back. He's not getting it. He's not getting that stroke of luck. And when you're isolated up top like that, and your lock's not going the way, your touch isn't going the right way, everything else, you're not going to get anything from him apart from demoralising. So pull him back into that space, let him have that space, so then at least that way he can try and do something. I can't fault his work rate because he's working, he is trying. It was times where he was back defending when Atsu was arms up in the air when they lost the ball. So it's difficult. Is he a £40 million striker? No, he's not. But he, at the end of the day, he's what we got. He's young. There is something there. I know a lot of people say no, there is something there, but I'm not convinced they know what it is yet and whether it suits the system we play.
Yeah, just very, very briefly, Adam, on Joelinton. I don't think he was the worst player today. I really didn't. No. I thought, especially in the first half, I thought with what he had, he actually helped us a little bit, bring players forward, and the balls were just maybe a yard short or a yard over hit, and there was times where Danny Rose was coming from the left, or you had Lazaro trying to help him out. But Adam, just very briefly, what do you think is his best position? Do you think his best position is just slightly off the striker? Do you think he's slightly better on the wing, like on the left-hand side, for example?
All the Football Manager fans will they have that Ramorda role where you're a bit of a attacking wing player. You're a little bit of a target man on the wings, because then you open up the space in the middle. Now the issue with that is you normally have to have a solid like left wing back to sort of back that up and pick up the loose ball and give an option to then be able to spray the play into the middle. And again, I think, ironically, having had Shelvey in a more forward position, he's actually able to read that part of the game well. And I thought that was glimpses of what could work well. But again, I don't know if we've got the quality of player to be able to produce the best out of someone like Joelinton in that sort of role. I just don't think that is where we sit. We want pace on the wings. We want early crosses into the box. It works well in Germany, that sort of role. Podolski did it for years in Germany, that sort of role. But I don't know if it's going to work Premier League with this set of players.
Yeah,
put him in another team that with a better quality of players, better movement as well. That was probably one of the big plus points with Matty Longstaff, was the mobility he had. He wanted to get about early. He wanted to look for the ball. BT commentators even said, like, everyone's got their back to the ball apart, but it wasn't. There was Matty Longstaff there looking, and he wants it, but then goalkeeper kicks it long. It's tough. It's tough. It can't be a nice game to play in. But I feel like they didn't have a real plan today. They just went out, and then they changed a little bit, and they changed a little bit more, and then they chucked a few more subs, and then obviously a couple of injuries dictated that as well. So it's I just want to see something different, some different personnel coming through the ranks, just to see because with the T word in the background, we don't know. We don't know. We really don't know. If it does, great. But still, you want to know who you've got as your personnel, whether you're going to be in the man in charge or not. And if it's not, then you're planning for next season anyway. So do something, get to know your players more. And especially if you've got a couple of diamonds in the rough in the youngsters there, like the likes of Tom Allen. Sorensen's gone missing. I don't know if he's ineligible because of the loan deal. But I thought he was available. But there's got. I thought he was training, but they've got to do something different. Just you've got 4 games now to experiment with. Is the way I see it.
Yeah,
do it.
Some very, very good points, Adam. I thoroughly agree with most. Well, I think probably everything you've said about the game and obviously the long-term future. But so I'd love to have you back on against Watford on Saturday. So if you want to get involved, more than welcome to do so. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you again. Yeah, some very good points from Adam as well.
We did, yeah. We lost Rowan. I don't know where he went. Cameron's went. Owen, our lad, was in the car. And I don't know where he's gone. But since they've disappeared, Connor, you jumped straight at the front.
Very well done, Connor.
All right, lads.
How you doing, Connor?
Right.
What did you?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. If you were Steve Bruce tonight, if you were thinking how I could have done this differently before a ball was kicked, what would you have done?
There's not really much you can do. Like, I think we put out a strong side, the strongest side we could do. And to be fair to Steve Bruce, I think the team couldn't really do much against a side like that. Like, they can put their subs on the pitch and they can, as proved against Liverpool last week, they can walk against any team. Do you know what I mean? Like, we only conceded 1 less than Liverpool. Like, you can't really hold against them, I don't think.
Yeah. Do you think that Manchester City were just excellent? And I know 95% of the time they always are. Do you think that Newcastle just couldn't cope with the attack after attack after attack? Like, it was 2-0 after 20 minutes. It could have been 4 or 5 after 20 minutes, if we're being brutally honest. They had chances.
Yeah. I think the only thing that we missed really was, like, we don't really have forward players on the pitch at that game. Like, we missed Almiron and we missed saint-maximin. They're the 2 that provide, like, the forward momentum, and I think we lost that. Like, we didn't have any outlets. It was just ping the ball forward and hope that somebody could do something with it, and it just seemed a bit rushed, and everything was just no plan kind of thing.
Yeah. What did you make of Valentino Lazaro? Because everyone was kind of been ranting and raving. Give him a chance. You know, we want to see if we can maybe purchase him in the summer. Do you think maybe he should have been given more of an opportunity? And tonight it was his opportunity. Do you think he took it today?
I think he looked smart when he got a hold of the ball. He tried to do something with it. He tried to follow in the footsteps of saint-maximin. He tried to push the ball forward and run at them. And I think you got to give him credit, because, like, it's all you can ask for in that situation. You know, you're trying to make something, and when you're getting balls lofted at you from 40, 50 yards and brought down to you, you can't really do much more than run at the defenders and hope that there's a gap appears for a pass or to move the ball into a position where we're in a better place to score, kind of thing.
Based on what you've seen so far, would you try and get Valentino Lazaro in permanently for a rumoured fee of £20 million, takeover or no takeover?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen enough yet. I don't think we've seen enough yet. I think he's been put in games where, you know, it's going to be hard for him to make any kind of impact. And when he's being brought on, it seems like we're either comfortably in the clear or we're behind and we can't really do much with it. And he's got a start today, and I thought he played quite well, really, considering. But it's hard to make your assumptions from what we've seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a slightly easy one would have been Matty Longstaff, and obviously he played about 20-25 minutes today when he came on. He looked okay when he came on, I have to be honest. He wasn't afraid to ask for the ball. He tried to encourage Newcastle to move up the pitch. Would you sign him up permanently?
Yeah, I think the deal needs to go for him instantly. Like, it's daft that we're even in a position where we could lose someone like that. I think he's got a future with anybody really, but with the club especially. He wants to be there.
Would you start him on Saturday?
Is Hayden still out?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think
you've got nothing to lose, have you, against his future employees?
Yeah, it's just one of them things where, like, I think with the options that we've got, you might as well try something different. Like, we're clear anyway. We're not going to be pushing much higher really with the games that we've got left. And I just think now's the time to bring in these players in case this takeover does happen. I think you give these players a try and see where we can get with them and whether they've got a future as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you think that we should get Matty Longstaff involved as a fellow NE29 lad, because I know Cal will be watching or listening in the comments as well. So thank you very much, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you very much.
Lee, who have we got next? Have we got Owen in the car? Have we got somebody else? Have we got Ronan? Or who we got? Mr. Proudlock. Oh, we always like to hear from Mr. Proudlock. How you doing? How you doing, Proudlock? How's things?
All good, but my God, I'm absolutely disgusted with that tonight, unfortunately.
Couldn't disagree.
It was a tough evening, wasn't it? Because look, what we've touched about so far is that Manchester City have been brilliant. They always are against Newcastle at the Etihad. I think we've won once since it was reopened in the League Cup a few years ago. What disappointed you the most, Proudlock? Was it the actual team performance? Was it the tactics? Was it the personnel that just didn't do anything? What was the biggest thing that you were really annoyed with?
Felt like I think it was the performance from the players that felt like we turned up and just couldn't be bothered. That's what it felt like for me the night.
Do you think they were on the beach?
Yep, sounds like they were on holiday on the beach, wherever. In the pub, any bit.
No, it was a tough afternoon. Again, I've asked people what changes could you make. You know, the personnel. You look at the bench that we had today. The bench wasn't blessed with a lot of first team quality. Would you have risked an Almiron, for example, Prowler, or would you save him for the games, the winnable games on paper?
I think Almiron would have been good for these kind of games for sure. But I can understand the changes of rotation because games are coming thick and fast now. It's not like every game's taking place every week because they want to get the season finished as soon as possible. So it's understandable, but I think for a game, Almiron would have been perfect for this game.
Yeah, I think for me, if he's not match fit, in my personal opinion, probably I would probably just leave him. Just say, look, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to put you out there because it's a game we're not expected to win. I'll put you in against Watford, where Watford are fighting for the lives, and you might get a little bit more space. What changes would you make for Watford, Prowler? Would you bring the likes of ASM in if he's fit? Would you change it up front, or would you give Joelinton another chance? And would you change Kraft and put him at right back? How would you do things for the game against Watford?
I'd definitely bring Alan saint-maximin if he's fit. I would actually go with Dwight Gale up front. I think he's not been too bad the last couple of games as well. Kraft's done well at right back as well. I don't get why they changed his position. He's done very well in that right back spot.
Yeah, I think right back, centre back. It's a difficult debate. Lee, would you go right back or centre back for Kraft in the long term future?
Emil Crap, you mean? No, to be fair, I kind of judge him on today. I can't, but the last two games,
from what you've seen,
he's done all right. But you are still worried. Are you not worried about when a player goes up against him? Because I am. I think it's a problem right back. I think Mankey was the best and massively improved the last 18 months, but I'm still not content with Mankey being my first choice going into next season. I think Yedlin's days are numbered. I think Yedlin's
on the way out. I think
RD, and he'll probably. I know he's on high wages. I could see him at the Bundesliga or somewhere like that because a lot of the US players go there. But it's a problem, the right back position. Emil Kraft's not the answer.
No, I think we need to address that in the summer, hopefully.
But I think also when I've been looking at the comments and running through them, Joelinton's getting a lot of flack tonight.
I thought he was okay today.
I don't think Joelinton's the reason why we didn't score today. I just think,
completely agree.
I think Joelinton's going to be a scapegoat for a lot of people because we didn't play well today. It's not just him. Several players didn't turn up today. And you could put Andy Cowell up top, you could put Dwight Gale up top. They wouldn't have been seen for a lot of periods. Man City had something like, 80% possession, something stupid like that. So whoever you put up top would have struggled.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would, in terms of Joelinton's performance, do you agree with Lee? Do you not think he was that bad? Because I thought when he had the ball, especially in the first half, he was helping out.
I thought his shoulder play was all right. I thought, to be honest. But honestly, it just felt like the players couldn't be bothered tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Prowler. We'll hopefully see you after the Watford game. And then obviously PD Prowler has his own YouTube channel. So if you want to see more Newcastle content, just as much as Newcastle fans see, I thoroughly recommend going to PD Prowler as well. So thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Priya.
I do agree with that comment. Sorry, I do agree with that comment, by the way, that your cat was better than Bentley tonight.
It was much better today, yeah. Peter's actually going to be in one of the documentaries as well, which I'm close to finishing, so stay tuned for that. He's going to be part of representing Gateshead, and I just need to wrap up Gateshead, and that's the big Northeast one done. Now, we've got a man who, likes to criticise players, Johnny, you know who I'm coming on to here. But every time we criticise them, the very next game, they do well.
Oh, I haven't got him, have we?
You know who I'm on about. We'll try and have a bit of laugh. We'll bring him in. Here he is.
There he is, Mr. Clinton Ford, 40. Well, that was a tough watch. I think first things first, who didn't impress you just so we can get a win against Watford?
Listen, it could take 10 of me slating him and it still wouldn't work. Now I'm going to talk about Bentaleb. Absolute pile of shit. Sorry, listening, but it was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I was just saying earlier, I do not want to see him in a black and white shirt ever again, even if it's Udinese, Juventus, any black and white shirt, even if it's a referee shirt. I don't want to see him any black and white shirt once ever again. Because
I'll tell you what, Fordy, he makes Jack Colback look like a good player.
Oh, no.
Jack Colback does a better job.
Like Ginger Burlow, mate.
Jack Colback does a better job than what Bentaleb does in that midfield. And I'm not joking. I'm more impressed with Jack Colback than I am with Bentaleb.
Bentaleb didn't get Betterly.
He definitely didn't. I said that at 40 outside of Oxford.
40, would you start Matty Longstaff next game, 40?
Easily. I don't know why he didn't start today. If the guy's playing for a contract, 30, 40, 50k, or whatever he wants, why isn't he starting? Why are we bringing in this guy, Bentaleb, to start? I don't understand it. The fact that we brought him into the club baffles me anyway. We've got 4 players ahead of him. And now he's trying to put all on social media, good to be back. I don't care, bro. Get out. Get out, bro. I don't want you in the club. You do nothing. You offer nothing defensively. Going forward, you don't offer anything. Why are you here? Why are you here?
40, was it the belief? Do you think the lack of belief was a big factor? Because I've seen this in the FA Cup game. I've seen this against other big teams away from home, where we just kind of think, do you know what? I don't think we can beat these today because they don't believe that they can beat them. Is that really, really frustrating from you as well?
It is, because the mentality starts from the top. It starts from Bruce. Yes, you can give excuses about Hayden wasn't here, Lascelles wasn't here, all the rest of it. There's still 11 men versus 11 men. I know the quality's better, I know. But if you're instilling that mentality into them straight away, of course they're going to have their heads down. First goal goes in, I'm seeing John Joe Shelby's head go down straight away. And I know you guys are going to say, oh, you probably have a worldie in the next game. Listen, mate. No. Real talk now, real talk. If he's wearing the captain's armband, I want you to lead. I want you to lead every single time. I want you to see you go, come on, boys, right, come on. 1-0 down, head start dropping. I didn't see that. I need to see that from my captain. When Lascelles is not there, he might not be the best in terms of ball playing ability, but he gives that. Give the captain to someone who deserves it when Lascelles is not there. Dubravka could have it. Fernandez could have it. Richie could even have it. I'm not wanting to see John Joe Shelby with it. And I'm sure that's probably the point that I made beforehand, before he went on and scored 5 goals or whatever. But you can see what I'm talking about here. Please, if you guys rip into me and he scores a hat-trick in the next game, please take the clip in isolation and remember what you see when I'm saying this, because I did not see a captain performance out there today.
I completely agree.
I've got a question then for you. Obviously, it's morale is massively down the day, and we're waiting for Almiron and Miggy, same player. I don't know why I've just said that. Sorry. Alan saint-maximin, I was trying to say. Yeah. If a lot of these lads aren't fit, Hayden, Lascelles, so what do? Do you bring in the people who came off the bench, like your Atsu, for God's sake, and Mutu and Matty, and take out, because the fringe players, I know it's Man City 40, I know, but they've got a chance to impress individually for themselves, and none of them did today. So would you just totally change it, assuming the big boys are not fit on Saturday?
No, you're right. They are fringe players, and again, they're rightfully on the bench for a reason. But I would have just given some of the youngsters a run out. I swear down. We had 2 youngsters on the bench, am I right in saying? Tom Allen and someone else.
You put Matty Longstaff in there as well, by the way.
And Longstaff's playing for a contract. If you're playing for a contract, put him in. Surely, from his point of view, you want to be wanted to play, to prove that you deserve to be at the club. Put them in. Put the youngsters in who are itching for this opportunity to play for this glorious club. Don't put in the likes of a Bentaleb who can't string 2 passes together. Don't put in... I mean, they all had shockers. All of them. Kraft can't play right centre half, let alone right back. I'm sorry. one good game doesn't make you a good right back. He's had one good game against Bournemouth, and everyone looked like world beaters in that game. Sorry, but no, he does not deserve to be in that side anywhere. We've seen him play at Norwich earlier in the season. He had an absolute stinker. Absolute stinker.
It was a long drive.
Yeah, fair play to you guys for driving down to see that. That was terrible. But players like that do not deserve to be put some of the youngsters in. So at least you can say, okay, you know, young 17-year-old from Gateshead got a run out. Young such and such from flipping South Shields got a run out. At least we can take something from that. What can we take from that today? Please tell me, educate me, because I can't see anything from that.
I think what we can take is that if you've got a bet on John Joe Shelby to score first against Watford, that you're going to be quids in. No, in all seriousness, 40. In all seriousness, what is the least that you expect from the next 4 games? Now, we've got Watford away, we've got Tottenham at home, Brighton away, and Liverpool at home on the final day. What is the minimum requirement, in your point of view, that Newcastle should be getting?
Barring points, I want a shift. Putting in a shift and showing me that. In fact, I still need to see. This is another thing as well. I still need to see Bruce tactically manage the game properly, because I'm not having this whole love fest that Bruce was getting today. All the commentators up his backside and all the rest of it saying, "Oh, what a phenomenal job he's done." Get out of here, man! What do you just watch us? What, 2 games a season and that's it? And that's what you judge your? Listen, us collectively and the people that are watching this watch this team week in, week out. And the first part of the season, tactically inept. We was all cussing him. No one was exempt from him because we was all cussing him. What? He's had a couple of good games, and yeah, okay, he's done better than what Rafa did last season. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, games like this, he can't be thrown in the towel before the game even started. Come on. So in these next 4 games, go back to your question. I want to see him manage the game properly. If we go 1-0 up, let's go for 2 and kill it off. Don't 1-0, play about with it, let them get back into the game, that sort of thing. Second thing, give opportunities to the players. I love that, by the way, John Bruce. Shout out John Bruce.
What have you done, John? What have you done, John?
They want to be ready for me, boy. I want to see give opportunities to players that deserve it. So the young players in our team, also the 2 that are on the bench and others that are waiting in the wings, give them an opportunity. If Matty Longstaff really wants to stay at this club, give him an opportunity, because today was the prime opportunity. No Hayden today. Shelby looked off the pace anyway. Play Matty Longstaff there and see what we do. And also play players in the correct position, please. Don't be putting Mankiw at left back and leaving Danny Rose on the bench. I'm not saying Danny Rose is the Danny Rose of old, but at least he's a left-footed left back. Play him there. Joelinton, if we're going to keep playing him, stop playing him up top by himself. He is not an Alan Shearer. He is not a Les Ferdinand. He's not one of the greatest number 9s that we've had at this club holding up the ball. He's not a run-down, bro. He can't do that. Play him at least to his strengths and let him try and do something. Because, again, he's not going anywhere. And then again,
you're talking, 40, about playing players in the right position. You've got a centre-back playing in defensive midfield where you could have easily slotted him in to centre-back, and that frees up another centre midfield role for a Matty Longstaff.
You're right. I can't debate it, bro. I cannot debate it. Play people in their correct position. Isn't that just basic management 101? Play people in their correct positions. This is the same Bruce that all of the commentators are bigging up. What a tremendous job he's done. You try to put correct positions in the correct places, round pegs in square holes, or whatever the saying is. Just do that correctly. And then in points-wise, take advantage of the games that we know we should be winning. West Ham, we should have won. You know, Aston Villa, we definitely should have won. Watford, we need to get something from. And then the games against your Liverpools and Tottenhams, let's give it something at least. Don't just say, you know what, Liverpool, they won the title. Tottenham are better than us. Okay, here you go, lads.
What I'm worried about, 40, is we're still playing teams that are fighting for a lot of stuff. You've got Watford who are fighting for their lives. You've got Spurs who are trying to get into Europe. Who else? We've got Liverpool's done. Brighton are almost safe.
Brighton are safe on 36.
Can we act like we're fighting for something? Can we play for pride at least? Because again, it looks like we're on the beach somewhere in Marbella at the moment.
Well, Fringe players are playing for the future, surely.
Surely, that's what I'm saying. It baffles me. Like the likes of the actors, we probably don't want to see at the club. Look like you're playing for your future. Banging I want to hear you banging down the door, and I want to hear from London that you're banging down the door in Newcastle saying, "I'll be playing week in, week out."
That's a 5-hour drive, and I do that a few times during the season. That's tough.
I don't care, bro. If you're listen, because let's face it, the likes of these fringe players, they're lucky to be at this club. Where else are they going after here? Let's be totally honest. Where is the Bentaleb going after here? He knows full well he needs us more than we need him. It's often you get the other way around where you get like a saint-maximin knowing that we definitely need him more than he needs us. He can go out to where. But Bentaleb in the situation, Attu in that same situation. Yedlin, I heard you talk about Yedlin. He's not getting in any Premier League times anytime soon. God, I love John Bruce, by the way.
Is that your crew?
I didn't realize you have another account for you.
Yeah, I'll come out time. But all these other players are fighting for their lives at this club, at a real top club. Because again, let's face it, if we do get a takeover, they want to be at this club. This club could go places. And none of those players are going anywhere. Shout out to English Rob as well. And none of these none of these guys are going anywhere. So again, play for them.
Yeah.
Well, you don't stop gassing you up, man.
40, thank you very much for coming on. If you want to watch more of 40, he's got his own channel. He's rebranded. It's called Geordie's Down South. They do some fantastic stuff. I've been on it a few times with himself and Pete, for example. Pete, I thoroughly enjoy.
Is Pete positive tonight?
Do you know what? He's brilliant. I actually really enjoy it with him.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, mate. And obviously, we'll hopefully see you after the Watford game as well if you want to come on as well.
Nah, for sure, man. Hopefully, we've got something better to talk about than today.
All the best, mate.
Yeah,
cheers, 40.
No,
cheers, pal. Right, I think we've got time for one more, Lee. If you can get one more on the screen, that would be great.
We've got no one else waiting. That's why I thought we'll change it up a little bit because we're coming up towards the hour anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lee, for the last 3 minutes, we'll have a little talk about, obviously, the last things about Newcastle.
Sam's been trying to get on and off. I can see him at the bottom.
I love that. I love this.
He'll blame the Thunder again tonight, won't he?
He will.
Mysterious Thunder that thunders every time he's on shore.
Yeah. I think, obviously, 40 was very right, shall we say, in a lot of things that he said, Lee. But the one thing that I had to agree with him very strongly is play players in their positions. And it got to a stage an hour into the game where he just kind of threw players on just to kind of give them a run out and not really bothered about where they're going to play. Like it just seemed like he was just not. I'm not going to say he wasn't bothered because obviously he got that professional pride, but it's just like saying throwing players on anywhere. Do you feel that he needs to start the likes of your Matty Longstaff in the centre midfield? If you decide what you're going to do with Emil Kraft, are you going to stay with him at right back or are you going to play him at centre half? If not, maybe can you play a younger player or play Fabian Schär in the centre of defence? Is that got to be the number one priority?
Yeah. Before I answer that question as well, there's another cat behind us as well. Mm-hmm. David's just coming. David, if you put your camera on, we'll get you on before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basics. What 40 was saying. Play your players in position and. It makes sense, but I can understand we've got a bit of a centre-back crisis and we've been so good at centre-backs and there's been so many good performers there. And I think, although I do actually think Fabian Schär was probably one of the better of the bad bunch, not he's not going to score high in the score on the players, none of them are, but if you played him at centre-back and that gives you another slot in centre midfield, I don't know why Matty didn't at least start or... I think with Watford, I think if... Like I mentioned earlier, if Hayden's fit, if ESM, I think Almiron will definitely come in. If Lascelles is 80% fit, I think starts because I think we'll lack his leadership and organisation. But Watford will be a tough one because they're fighting for something. They still want to. They're desperate, and we don't always do well down there. I can't remember the last time we won down Vicarage Road. I know we picked up a point through Rondon last season through Richie's cross, wasn't it, on the left?
It was, yeah.
But in all honesty, you wouldn't want to get beat, so I'd probably take a draw right now, to be honest with you, just to ease that over. David sticked his camera on, so we'll bring David in for a final guess.
Yeah, well, just quickly go through the final scores as well. Sheffield United won against Wolves in the last minute at Bramall Lane, John Egan's header, and also in the other game that was played at 6 o'clock, West Ham lost 1-0 to Burnley, which is a big disappointment for them. As well. But David, you're the last guest on our fan reaction show. I'm guessing you're going to say, like the majority of our guests has been, it's just it wasn't good enough tonight. Can we hear you, David? Can you speak? Can you hear us, David? No, I can't think we can hear you, David. Lee, it wasn't good enough, was it? Oh, we got you there. It wasn't good enough tonight, David, was it?
No, it wasn't good enough. I thought Bentleb was really poor, so was Shaw. I feel like a lot of people are criticising Bentleb, but to put in perspective, that Shaw was alongside him, and they were both poor, so you can only blame them both. You can't just blame one of them.
Why do you think Fabian Shaw is getting? It's been very controversial, Fabian Shaw, because I'm with Lee on this one. I thought he was probably the best of a bad bunch tonight. I thought every time he had the ball, he tried to help us by bringing us up a little bit. He had a few nice passes, but Nabil Bentleb just was the opposite. He gave the ball away constantly. Why did you think Fabian Shaw was so poor tonight?
Again, I think it's because he hasn't played in a while. He's got Bentleb beside him who didn't play well. And I think it lacks, like, we didn't have the starting players. We didn't have Lascelles, who's the leader. We didn't have Saint-Maximin, so he couldn't really pick a pass out to a fast player that can get him behind. And I think Joelinton was the best player on the pitch for us. I think it was really good.
I thought he was all right with what he had, especially his build-up play. I thought was excellent. Obviously Joelinton is a big talking point, but who would you start up front against Watford? Because we've seen Joelinton, we've seen Gale, we've seen Carroll. Obviously, I don't think Carroll's going to be fit. Out of Joelinton and Gale, who would you start? Because Gale scored, but Joelinton isn't scoring as much. He scored 2 Premier goals all season. Who would you throw in against Watford?
I think I'll play Gale up top, maybe put Joelinton on the left, Almiron in the number 10, and then Saint-Maximin on the right.
That sounds a bit better than what we've had tonight. Has to be said. Has ASM been your player of the season, or has anybody else stood out for you?
Sorry, say again?
Has ASM been your player of the season, or has somebody else stood out for you this year?
I think Hayden has at the minute. Hayden's been our best player by far, I think. If Hayden wasn't in the team for half the season, I think we'd really struggle in the centre of the midfield.
Yeah, I think he's been an unsung hero. Mainly big fans of Isaac Hayden. And finally, we'll talk about, obviously, there's 4 games left. How many points do you think we can get in those last 4 games?
I think we could get maybe 4. Win against Watford, draw against Brighton, because all the teams that we play, apart from Liverpool, are fighting for something. And even if we only get like 1 win, I will be happy as long as the performances are like good from every player on the pitch.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree. Hopefully that is the case from now till the end of the season. Well, thank you very much for coming on. You have been our last guest, and thoroughly enjoyed talking to you there, mate. Lee, what can people look forward to tonight? Because we have got scoring the players. What else have we got involved?
I can't see many scoring high. I think we're not seeing Fabian Schär's played well. I think we're seeing that he's played poor, but he's one of the better players. I think that's where the confusion seems to be lying in their chat. Yeah. Yes, we've got scoring the players. I'll probably have to sit in on that because of Sam's shocking internet. I think Kyle pop up before, so he must be wondering why we haven't started. And we've got the last word. The Manchester City fan has dropped out, not because they want to gloat. It's his mum's 60th birthday today as well. So there's no opposite fan, but there will be scoring the players. And of course, the last word, which will be later on tonight.
So yeah, make sure that you get your seats comfortable for scoring the players, because I think it might be a lively one. I don't think there'll be many high scores. Maybe I think 5 might be the most. Has Johnny borrowed Lee's beer for tonight? No, he hasn't. He grows his own very well, I have to say. That's the only thing I can grow on my face, as you can see. No, it should be interesting scoring the players, and Lee's will be back with the last word, in which I think it's going to be a very entertaining last words, especially with the fact that Steve Bruce will have a lot of comments, especially about the fact that Newcastle were terrible tonight and the need to react really, really quickly, as we're only playing Watford on Saturday lunchtime at 12:30 on Amazon. Remember, Amazon have 4 live free Premier League matches. They are one of our main sponsors, along with free retro. So if you want all classic tops like what Lee's wearing in 95, 96 with likes of Shearer and Ferdinand, make sure you get a hold of them. And of course, beer 52. You can get 8 beers for $5.95, which is just your postage. And who does want 8 beers for £5.95? Sam's got some. We've actually sold quite a lot, to be fair. So people do seem to enjoy beer 52 as well. But yeah, my thanks to Lee for stepping in at I think from the second minute onwards. I was by myself for a minute, and I think,
yeah, Sam messaged me saying, "You're gonna have to jump on, get off PT, and go on." Let's went down.
Exactly. So yeah, you've got Lee to thank for making sure the show's gone as smoothly as it has. Yeah. So many thanks to Lee. We'll be back on Saturday for the Fan Reaction show from around about, if I say 12:30 kickoff. We'll say around about 2:45, 10 to 3. We'll be live for an hour or so. So yeah, make sure you're tuned for that. And until then, we'll see you all very, very soon.